Hello everyone, and welcome back. I'm Stephen Rathburn. Today's video is part of a series to practice building character in our sketches. Any professional artist will tell you that sketching is the most important skill to develop as an artist. And also sketching people is the best way to practice that skill. I've chosen a musician here thinking that it would be a good exercise in expression. I'll speed this up a bit, and I'll just mention some of the main points. First of all, expression. When we're thinking of a sketch being expressive, our strokes want to be very free, maybe thick in some parts and thin in others. This isn't possible if we're going too slow and too tight. We're usually trying to be too exact in that case. Our strokes want to be fast and loose, and this displays confidence in our sketching. Begin by making small reference points. And before we make a line, check the angles and the distance between these points. And when we're relatively sure that the points are in the right place, then we start to connect those points. But again, not solid, tight lines. Work from one point only part of the way and then start from another point and work out just a slight way. Then move to the next point. Make hard, fast lines and leave open spots between the points. Don't stay in one place too long. Keep making new reference points. Checking before committing. Back to the hands for just a little bit more detail. But again, not too much. Little bits at a time. I'll mention again the openness of the lines and the variation of the strokes. This comes from starting at the reference point with the pencil, pressing hard, and then moving quickly away from that point. When we're learning to sketch, we want to concentrate on relaxing and moving quickly and not making the person recognizable. The idea here is to make an artistic representation, not an exact copy or like a photograph of that individual. So in this case, the intention here is to capture the passion he has for his skill and not who he is. Like I mentioned before, if we spend too much time trying to make the piece look exactly like the individual, it tightens us up. It really inhibits our freedom in expressive strokes. The ability to make the piece look exactly like that individual does come with practice. But first, we want to concentrate on making a piece of art. Making a piece look exactly like the individual, for instance, would involve maybe moving up and getting a closer view of the person's face. Then it does make it a little easier to make the piece look like an individual. But on the other hand, most of the time what we end up with is more or less a mugshot, if you will. The idea, again, is to make an attractive sketch like a piece of art. Pay attention to negative shapes. For instance, the left hand from the little finger, the space in between the bottom of his hand to the instrument. Also, maybe the shape from the bottom of his chin to the instrument, that shape. And then look at possibly the angle from the top of the subject's head down to his right elbow. Things like this, before we make the stroke, just make a reference point first, check the reference point, and then make the line. This process keeps us from having to erase a bunch of lines later. If you have to erase, normally, even when you have the smoothest paper, it will always smudge, and that really takes away from the freeness of the piece. So in other words, we want to erase as little as possible. Now, it is needed at times, but try to make it so we're erasing very little. Again, I'll mention the openness of the lines in relation to shading, because if we leave the openness and the freeness of the lines, the original sketch from reference point to reference point, then when we start shading, it will look so much freer. If we close the entire outside lines of the sketch, then when we start shading, it begins to look very much like somebody shaded in a coloring book. So again, the openness of the lines makes a very important point even when we start shading. As I said earlier, sketching is a very important skill for any artist, whether you're a painter, sculptor, or any other form of art. In real time, this sketch took about 20 minutes. Doing quick sketches loosens us up, gets us ready to paint. Okay, well, good enough to let me know that I do want to paint this. So stay tuned for that one. Please like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one.